I don't want a woman with a belly like a monster. You'll have to raise the kid by yourself," while looking at my swollen belly 9 months pregnant. His eyes oozed contempt and a vulgar smile stretched across his lips. I'd always anticipated this day would come, and despite foreseeing such an incident, I promptly went to my room. I returned with a document in hand. "Fine. Here are the divorce papers." I thrust the prepared divorce documents before Anton. He contorted his face and exclaimed, "What the hell? What's this all of a sudden?" "Well, it was your idea. Now sign it quickly." "I'll submit it tomorrow," I challenged him. His face rapidly turned red as my provocative words stung him. "Watch closely. I'll make you regret how you've treated and looked down on me all this time," I declared. "My name is Helen. I'm a 26-year-old housewife. Until 2 years ago, I was working for a mobile company. I met Anton, my boss, at the workplace when I was 24. It didn't take us long to fall in love and get married. Anton, 3 years my senior, was very dependable, especially when teaching me the ropes at work. As a newcomer to the department who didn't know her way around, I couldn't express how grateful I was for Anton's precise instructions. As he taught me about work, we became friends and frequently went out to dinner together. When he asked me out, I was over the moon, particularly because I had never dated anyone before. It's embarrassing and not something I share often, but being a cartoon enthusiast, I was always more interested in 2D characters than real-world men. However, seeing my high school and college classmates getting married one after another, I started to feel the pressure. When I fell in love with Anton, I secretly vowed it would be my first and last love. So when I began dating Anton and we got married a year later, I was completely elated. Anton was good-looking and popular among our female coworkers. I was proud to be his wife, and many congratulated us saying, "Congratulations," or, "Though I'm jealous, I wish you happiness." I said, basking in unprecedented joy. I couldn't have imagined what lay ahead for us. "You're married to me now, so you'll quit your job, right?" I informed them yesterday, the day after we submitted our marriage registration. Just as we were eagerly starting our new married life, Anton said, "Obviously, I've always wanted my wife to focus solely on household matters. Don't worry, I can support both of us with my income." "But this is so sudden." "You never mentioned this before," I replied. I had never heard from Anton about quitting my job before our marriage. I started my current job due to a recommendation from my father. It wouldn't be right to leave without notice. I wanted to explain this, but Anton's eyes exerted a silent pressure, warning me not to pursue the topic. I instinctively closed my mouth. I couldn't resist any longer. "I admit I should have told you, but it's done. Starting tomorrow, you don't need to go to work." "I'll handle the handover starting tomorrow," Anton declared. What a surprise. The news about starting tomorrow was so sudden that it left me feeling dizzy. However, Anton's words were resolute. I couldn't oppose Anton, who had been my superior at work. Even though I had to leave my job without a proper farewell, I was determined to make our marriage work. Since Anton had married me and entrusted me with household responsibilities, I wanted to meet his expectations. I didn't want to be considered an incompetent wife. With utmost dedication, I worked hard at the household chores. I prepared meals focusing on Anton's favorites, setting as many dishes as possible on the table. Although Anton ate everything without specifically mentioning whether it was delicious or not, I honestly wished he would offer a word of appreciation. I longed for that kind of recognition, especially after quitting my job and no longer being recognized by anyone. "I have an important meeting tomorrow. Is my jacket clean?" asked Anton. "Yes, of course," Anton replied. He seemed to hold some old-fashioned views, showing a domineering side. I kept reminding myself how fortunate I was to have married him and took the initiative to meet his expectations. With no personal income, I had no other way of living normally other than with Anton. Although our relationship often felt more like that of an employer and a housemaid rather than a husband and wife, our marital life was generally smooth. However, one day I fell ill and couldn't get out of bed, feeling lethargic. I thought, I'll catch up on the housework tomorrow. Anton entered the bedroom and angrily asked, "What are you doing? Get up and make some food." He kicked the blanket I was under. "I'm sorry, I'm feeling unwell today." Can you manage something for yourself? I explained, hoping for understanding. Instead of nodding or consoling me, Anton frowned and said, "You don't work, yet you're lying down just because you feel a bit sick? Pathetic. Get up." He kicked me again, and I got up from the bed in disbelief. It was unthinkable that he would demand housework from his sick wife. I'd never imagined he would be like this before we married. Perhaps it was my fault for not seeing it, but it was too much. I did my chores while crying. Several days passed, and my health did not improve. Then I realized I had missed my period and rushed to the drugstore to buy a pregnancy test. Upon trying it, the result was positive. I was overjoyed and tears flowed naturally. I decided to tell Anton when he returned from work, and my spirits lifted instantly. The day Anton returned home after midnight was the day I had decided to share the news. However, the moment he entered, the smell of alcohol made me nauseous. His face was flushed, and he staggered as he walked. It was surprising how much he had drunk, especially without notifying me in advance, so I had prepared dinner. I wanted to share the news of my pregnancy with Anton, but even more than that, I wanted to do it quickly. My excited emotions surged, and I shared the news with my intoxicated husband. "Yes, I haven't been to the doctor yet, so it's not confirmed," I began, eager to convey our happiness. However, I saw Anton's face darken as he responded, "A child? What have you done?" Anton's characteristically grim tone was unlike anything I'd ever heard before. "Huh? I don't want a child. Damn, this is the worst. If you're going to have it, raise it yourself." His harsh words shocked me, and he rudely stripped off his clothes and headed to the bathroom. It was unbelievable. I couldn't fathom why he would make such irresponsible comments about our baby instead of being happy for us. The happiness I had felt just moments ago was immediately replaced with deep sorrow. Why would he say such things? He had never mentioned not wanting children before. We hadn't even been using contraception, so I naturally thought we both wanted children. To tell his pregnant wife that having a child is the worst was beyond comprehension. As I was hanging Anton's jacket and about to take his shirt to the washroom, I noticed something else. "What's this?" A piece of paper had emerged from the pocket of the dress shirt, and immediately I could tell it was a receipt due to its texture. At first, I thought it was just a receipt from tonight's gathering, and I was about to discard it, but then my eyes caught the name of the establishment. "Is this a motel?" My hand holding the receipt trembled, and I could tell from the name that it was indeed a motel. The shock of this discovery weighed heavily on my heart. Why doesn't Anton love me? Isn't marriage supposed to be between two people who love each other, especially since we've only been married for just over a year? How could this be? I had been lost in imaginary romances for years, never truly engaging in a real relationship. I couldn't immediately accept this harsh reality. However, the idea of Anton cheating started to make sense, and many pieces fell into place. Had Anton been using me from the very beginning of our marriage? Was he genuinely in love with the person he was cheating with, while I was merely a convenient servant? All these doubts swirled within me. Was that the reason he reacted so harshly when he learned of my pregnancy? As I grappled with these thoughts, nausea set in, and I became convinced that something was amiss. Yes, there's no doubt now. Perhaps the reason he drove me out of the company was that his mistress worked there. It seemed like everything was beginning to make sense, as if he had married me for stability and not love. The line between reality and my imagination became blurry. Still, there was no denying the heartless words he had thrown at me after learning about my pregnancy. That day, I decided to gather evidence of Anton's infidelity. From then on, his cold behavior towards me was undeniable. It was as if he couldn't forgive me for becoming pregnant. Despite knowing that I was suffering from morning sickness, he would deliberately eat smelly foods near me and nitpick my housework, forcing me to redo tasks. My pregnant body had to endure a lot, and my heart was heavy. Despite this, I continued to investigate his affair. Anton never parted from his cell phone, even taking it with him to the bathroom, making it impossible for me to sneak a peek. When I secretly entered Anton's room, it was neat and tidy, with nothing incriminating in sight. He was meticulous at work, and his desk was always in perfect order. I realized that it would be challenging to catch him off guard directly. I frequently checked Anton's pockets for possible evidence, such as receipts. However, my investigation was proving to be difficult. The thought of hiring a detective crossed my mind, but I didn't have the money for such an endeavor. I was deep in thought, mulling over my situation, when I received an unexpected phone call. It was my father. He rarely reached out to me, so I wondered about the reason for his call. "Hello, it's me, your dad. How are you?" he inquired. I was surprised by his call, considering his busy schedule. "Dad, what's going on? Aren't you busy with work?" I asked. "My employees have been doing well, so I'm not that busy," he explained. My father is the CEO of a company in Canada, and he has always been a workaholic. I didn't have many childhood memories of playing with him, but I respected his dedication to his job. So, his unexpected call left me curious about the purpose. I inquired, "So, what's happening?" As I waited for his response, my father proceeded to reveal a shocking truth. "Is that really true?" I asked in disbelief. "Yes, he's not the type to lie." "I want you to believe me," my father reassured me. I was initially in shock and unable to respond, but as the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, I felt a sense of relief. "Thank you, Dad. I'll do my best," I told him with gratitude before hanging up the phone. My research was finally paying off, and I couldn't help but feel elated. However, the newfound knowledge also stirred up feelings of anger and frustration. Due to the ongoing tension between Anton and me, Anton continued to be distant even though I was pregnant. Each time he acted this way, I harbored a deep hatred towards him. Months passed, and our relationship remained strained. Eventually, an event occurred that shattered our life. At 9 months pregnant, I was always cautious around Anton, living in a state of constant apprehension. I tried to avoid crossing paths with him, leading a quiet and stifled life. One day, I served dinner as usual, and when Anton returned home, we sat at the dining table. As I quietly ate, Anton suddenly slammed his fork down. "What is this?" "It's tasteless," he exclaimed, throwing the food I had prepared onto the floor. I was baffled by his outburst, trying to comprehend the situation. The anger at having the meal I had cooked discarded before me began to well up inside. "I've been contemplating this for some time, but recently you've been complaining about the taste of the meals I prepare." Anton criticized my cooking, stating it was tasteless. While it was true that since becoming pregnant, I had been using less seasoning to make healthier meals for everyone, this was only a temporary measure until the baby's birth. If he found the food bland, he could have simply added some salt himself. Why did he have to throw the meal on the floor? I was about to voice my complaint when Anton sneered and uttered hurtful words. "HPH, I don't want a woman with a belly like a monster. You'll have to raise the kid by yourself," while looking at my swollen belly, he spitefully declared, his eyes filled with malice and a vulgar smile stretching across his lips. I had always anticipated that this day might come, even though I had hoped for a different outcome. Swiftly, I went to my room, retrieved a document, and returned to present it to Anton. "Fine. Here are the divorce papers," I said, thrusting the prepared documents in front of him. Anton's face twisted in shock as he stammered, "What the hell? What's this all of a sudden?" "Well, it was your idea. Now sign it quickly." "I'll submit it tomorrow," I responded. In reality, I had been contemplating divorce since I began suspecting Anton's infidelity. However, with a child on the way, I was unsure if I could support myself if I took that step. But now I had a different plan in mind. My resolve seemed to have provoked Anton's anger, his face reddening with anger. "Just watch. I will make you regret every moment you looked down upon me and controlled me. Do you think you can survive without me? You have a baby to care for, and you'll regret it," I warned, my determination unshaken. "I'll be fine. Don't worry about me," I assured Anton. Perhaps irritated by my determination, he snatched the divorce papers and began to fill in the blanks. "Here you go. If this is what you wanted, it's yours." "Thank you," I responded. Probably Anton didn't think I would actually submit the divorce papers, as he handed them over without a fuss. The following day, I promptly submitted the divorce papers and left the house. I knew he would be surprised when he returned from work to find out. After that, I moved to my parents' home, primarily due to my father's return to the US from Canada and his suggestion that I stay with them. It was the right decision at the time, as I was fed up with my life with Anton, and I was deeply thankful to my father. I received 3 calls from Anton Cade on the day I left our home, but I ignored all of them. Eventually, he stopped calling. It became clear that I meant very little to Anton. He was probably content with his mistress by now, and I suspected he might even remarry soon. I had decided to move on from Anton, and 6 months had passed. I had a baby who was born safely, and I was now living happily with my parents and the baby. It was while I was enjoying this peaceful life with my family that Anton called again. I ignored his calls at first, but after several persistent attempts, I had no choice but to answer. "Hello, what do you want now?" I said, wary of his tone. "Hey, what's going on? Why were you on that show? And since when were you the daughter of a CEO with assets worth millions of dollars?" I never knew that. Anton's voice boomed with surprise and anger. It turned out that Anton had seen a TV show that was broadcasted after I returned to my family home. I had received a request from a TV station after returning to my family's home, thanks to my father's role as the CEO of a renowned global tech company. The show featured the lavish lifestyle of the CEO's family. Producers had come to our house and filmed the lifestyle of my father's family. During the TV show interview, they discussed our family's wealth, mentioning a rough estimate of $10 million. I never imagined Anton would see that show, but the power of television is truly something. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you that I have an asset of $33 million due to an advanced inheritance. That's why I was able to divorce you. Yes, my father informed me about the inheritance, which gave me the confidence to live comfortably even after divorcing Anton. Upon hearing this, Anton's reaction was immediate, and he was furious. "What? That's dirty. Why didn't you tell me about this before? Half of it is mine, right? Give me the money now." I calmly responded, just as I suspected. After seeing the show, all you could think of was extorting money from me. Gifts from parents are not included in the property distribution, and are you forgetting your own misdeeds? Anton was puzzled and asked, "What are you talking about?" I continued, "I'm exasperated with your rage, Anton. You called me yourself. You should know you can't blame me for what you did. You cheated, didn't you? With your new wife, and she's a junior from your company, isn't she? You started dating her even before our marriage." Anton was evidently shocked by the information I got from my father. I finally had the upper hand. "Did you think I wouldn't find out?" My father told me. "He has many acquaintances in your company, and one of them informed me about your affair. I've never mentioned it, but I'll be demanding child support." Anton, still in denial, protested, "Stop kidding. Why should I pay child support? It's all because of you, right? You got pregnant on your own and slacked off with household chores. It's all your fault." Hearing Anton blame me without apologizing for his own mistakes was beyond belief. I couldn't believe I was ever married to someone so lacking in common sense. I truly felt it was the right decision to leave him. "Anna, I'm broke. My wife spent all the money I earned, and now I'm drowned in debt." Hearing Anton's pitiful plea, I went from anger to sheer disbelief. I never wanted to deal with such an unreasonable person ever again. With that thought in mind, I firmly gripped my phone. "What are you talking about? Do you even realize how ridiculous you sound? I never want to deal with you ever again. I'll have my lawyer handle the matter of child support. Never call me again, and you will not see the child anymore. Goodbye." "Hey, wait." After pouring out my emotions, I quickly hung up the phone. Afterwards, I blocked Anton's number and took a deep breath. Sigh. It's over now, right? I won't get any more calls from Anton. I no longer want him disrupting my peaceful life. Just then, I heard my baby crying from the other room, and I rushed to soothe the baby. It turned out that he began paying child support every month. As per a former colleague's account, Anton claimed that the woman he remarried was quite a spendthrift, and he had to pay his current living expenses with debts. It seemed that because of these circumstances, Anton had tried to get a share of my inheritance by calling me. However, Anton, who didn't get a penny from me, now had expenses greater than his income. He's struggling, either because he felt things were going south or he couldn't stand being looked down upon by his colleagues. What's more, he stupidly began his job search only after leaving his current company, resulting in being forced into a life of poverty. Hearing this from a colleague didn't move me in the slightest. I thought he deserved all the hardships. The harsh words and cold demeanor he showed me will never fade from my memory. I sincerely hope he gets what he deserves. On the other hand, I'm enjoying parenting with my parents. I think I'll lead a comfortable life without financial worries, but since my father mentioned passing on the company to me, I'm all geared up to work. After all, I am my hard-working father's daughter.